आवाज आ रही है ये फोनोग्राफ से, ढूंढो खुदा को दिल से ना लाफो गजाफ से।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to another inspiring episode of Future of Work on MTA Africa. I am Abdul Qadir Ismail Uluagbemiga, thrilled to be your host as we navigate the fascinating and ever-changing landscape of work in the 21st century. Today, we are tackling a topic that lies at the very heart of our professional and personal lives: ethical considerations and the future of work. As technology advances and new business models emerge, we find ourselves at a crossroad where innovation meets morality. The decisions we make today will shape the ethical framework of tomorrow. From artificial intelligence and automation to data privacy and workplace diversity, the ethical implications of our choices are profound and far-reaching. Imagine a world where AI algorithm determines the hiring practices, where remote work blurs and boundaries between professional and personal life, and where gig economics will define traditional employment. These advancements offer incredible opportunities, but they also raise critical ethical questions. How do we ensure fairness and equity? How do we protect privacy? How do we protect privacy and personal data? How do we create inclusive workplaces that respect the dignity of every individual? In today's episode, we will explore the pressing question with the help of leading ethicists, industry experts, and pioneers who are at the forefront of this ethical evolution. They would share their perspectives on how we can balance innovation with integrity, growth with responsibility, and efficiency with empathy. According to a recent report by the Ethics and Compliance Initiative, 85% of employees say they want their employers to do more to uphold ethical standards. This is not just a trend, it is a clear mandate for a more conscientious approach to work. We'll dive into the real-world scenarios and case studies offering practical insights on how to navigate ethical dilemmas in the workplace. Whether you're a business leader striving to build a value-driven organization, an employee seeking to understand your rights and responsibilities, or you are simply concerned as a global citizen, this episode is for you. So, joining us as we embark on this crucial journey of ethical discovery is engineer Oladoja Tajuddin, a project management professional, consultant, and trainer. He is a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Project Managers Association of Nigeria. He is a member of the Project Management Institute, the United States of America. Engineer Tajuddin, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for having me.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Our second guest, who will be joining us virtually, is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators of Nigeria and currently the chairperson, Family Courts, Lagos State Judiciary, Magistrate Matepo Salamat. Magistrate Sahiba, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Today, we'll be having a very interesting and educating discussion. But before we continue, let us listen to one of our experts, his view on the situation or the ethical discussions around the workspace in the world.
Due to globalization, which makes the world now a very small village, due to the fact that both businesses and cultures are now integrated and interconnected. So some certain skills are required of someone that wants to fit in into this. And major part of it is your technology advancement. Majorly also, we have the communication skills, because now that you want to fit in, the globalization has made us be able to provide us with several job models, such as working global or remotely, working as a gig or a freelancer. So these, for you to be able to fit into this, you have to improve your communication skills to be able to fit into the language of the country you find yourself. So also, there is something we call cross-cultural communication. This is also part of the major skills you have to acquire to be able to fit in into this. Yeah, continuous learning is one of the means by which you can prepare yourself for this. Aside that, due to increase in competition, you have to make yourself available for technical advancement, in such that you must get yourself in what's actually what's in vogue at that particular period of time. Education itself is actually a platform that prepares you to what the social environment requires you of. So it depends on your level of education place you on the level of exposure you have into the social world.
Jazakumullahu khairan. That was indeed very interesting and educating. It's an eye-opener for everyone. Engineer Sahib, looking at the workplace today, we are faced with several challenges, and we are also faced with several opportunities. But looking at the ethical discussions of the workplace, what are the key ethical challenges in the modern workplace?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. The modern workplace is faced with a lot of ethical challenges.
Okay.
The first one among them is leadership ethical challenges. We have a lot of unethical leaders. They set bad examples, they tell lies, they have bad influences on their workers. Another major one is you have organizations that are set up with an imbalance between profit and ethics. They do not really care what happens to morality, what happens to ethics. They want to make profit. That becomes a lot of ethical challenges for them. Then a lot of workplaces today exploit their workforce. They don't pay them well, they employ underage, and they violate labor laws. So all of these constitute a lot of ethical challenges. You find a lot of organizations set up with environmental irresponsibility. That is, they hurt the environment and they do not care. You can see them hurting the physical environment, hurting the air, the atmosphere, and so on and so forth. Some other organizations have irresponsible social irresponsibility, ethically. They don't care what happens to people around them. Some organizations have ethical challenges in terms of creating performance pressure on their workforce. They set very high expectations, very high targets, and then the workforce become, pressured in an attempt to try to meet these targets.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, please.
So you were talking about the challenges that come with the workplace.
Yes, please.
So, but I got your discussion.
Right.
I got your point about the unethical leaders. But while you were talking about the human and the environmental workers, I want to start from the environment.
The environment.
Again.
All right. So I said there's a lot of environmental irresponsibility. Look at a lot of oil companies set up in Nigeria. They emit their waste, both physical waste and gaseous waste, that hurts the environment. That's unethical. That's not acceptable. It destroys the farmland, it makes the environment polluted, and it constitutes a lot of health hazards to the society. So that constitutes environmental and social irresponsibility. That's unethical. That's not morally okay.
Okay.
Yes. Apart from that, we also have another major ethical challenge, and that is in the areas of marketing and advertising. You see organizations, they advertise falsely. They promise customers what they will not deliver. That's unethical. That's lying. They also use nude women to advertise. That's unethical. There's no respect for humanity. You see a whole human being naked just because they want to advertise their product. That's unethical. You also have people lying. Workforce, the workers themselves, they tell a lot of lies. And then you have conflict of interest. A situation where personal interest is at conflict with the corporate interests. And then you have individuals compromising their company interest. That's also another major unethical challenges that we have in this environment.
Thank you very much for that insight. You've given us quite a number of challenges that come with the ethical standards of the workplace. Magistrate Sahiba, Engineer Oladoja has given us different challenges that come with the ethical standards of the workplace. So how do you think companies and businesses can tackle these challenges according to the law, especially as a senior magistrate?
Ethical considerations in the future of work are of paramount importance in our society. Therefore, companies can address ethical challenges in various ways. Some are the ones mentioned by my brother, Engineer Oladoja, which deals with the society at large. But my own area where I want to talk about is with the one that deals with the employees and customers. The companies are to establish clear and comprehensive ethical guidelines, which should have a well-defined code of ethics that outlines the expected behaviors and values for employees and customers. This can serve as a reference point for decision-making and ensure ethical conduct throughout the organization. In training and education, the organization must be ready to train employers and even create awareness in the society with respect to what they are there to serve the society with. Regular trainings and workshops to educate employees on ethical issues and dilemmas they may encounter in their work. It can help raise awareness and equip employees with the necessary knowledge and skill to make ethical decisions in the place of work. Then, our leaders, according to my brother, leaders should be ready to lead by example. Ethical behavior starts at the top. Therefore, leaders should demonstrate and promote ethical conduct through their actions and decisions. Then, organizations should encourage open communication. Management should foster a culture that encourages employees to raise ethical concern without fear of retaliation. Establishing channels for confidential reports or on ethical behavior, such as an anonymous hotline, which can help workers to report issues, especially when any unethical behavior is observed. Organizations should also implement monitoring and reporting mechanism, which will give rooms to auditing of ethical practice within the company, can help identify and rectify potential ethical practices. This includes conducting internal investigation. We know that conducting internal investigation, when this is done, it exposes a lot of unethical behaviors, even among leaders in the organization, management especially.
Magistrate Saiba, while you were speaking, ma'am, you spoke about the need for companies or businesses to train their employees. So, do you think, is there any part of law that probably obliges a business owner or an employer to train the employees? Do you not have to train yourself and upskill yourself as an employee? Is it binding on the employer to do that?
Yes, an employee has to train himself, and that was one of the criteria used in employing such person. But there is what we call continual training and evaluation, where to establish training is education. I think it's always part of budget, a yearly budget. Each company is expected to train their workers, especially a lot of workers just coming to the company may not even know some aspects of the job they are into. They will, yes, I am coming with what I know, and once I get there, there are a lot of issues there are some ethical and encounters during the work. So this company has to create trainings and education for the employers, and even awareness to the poor society of what goes on in their companies. Those are the areas of training that I was.
Jazakumullahu khairan, ma'am. We appreciate that view. You've given us a way out of some of the ethical challenges that happens in the workplace and how we can be of a better ethical standards. Engineer Sahib, what role should the employee now do? What role do they have to maintain the high ethical standards?
Thank you. Thank you very much. You see, the workplace environment is very challenging, and therefore, the employee has a major role to play. The first major one is to have a very, very firm faith in God and also trust God and be patient. Because if an employee doesn't have faith in God, he doesn't place his faith over materialism, he can easily fall off. He or she can easily be misled. So the first number one responsibility of any employee is to believe that it is God that provides and also be patient and have trust in this God. That's number one. Then number two, every employee has the responsibility to maintain a very, very high value, very, very high moral value. And there are four of them. Number one is respect. The employee has to respect himself, self-respect. Under self-respect, that's where self-training comes in. You know, if you respect yourself, you don't want anybody to embarrass you, then you better train yourself. Go and acquire relevant skills that will make you very relevant all the time. Nobody can lay you off, and you can be paid appropriately. Number two is to have a very high moral value in terms of integrity. Integrity. You know, integrity is derived from the word integral. That is, remain who you are. Don't ever change. Don't break. Don't be broken. Remain integral. Remain integral in the sense that Allah has created us in the perfect form. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ التَّقْوِيمِ. That we have been created perfect. So remain perfect, remain whole, so that at any point in time we can trust in you, we'll find you reliable. And the way to do that is to maintain your integrity. Number three is to be honest. Under all situations, say the truth. The worst case is that you'll be punished for doing the wrong thing. Then you will learn your lessons. You won't do it again. You have gained, isn't it? But if you lied and you are discovered to crime, you'll be punished for lying and you'll be punished for the crime. So let us always be honest. That is the employee's responsibility. And then number four, we should always be responsible. Always behave responsibly. That is, accept responsibility for your inaction. Anytime you've done something wrong, own up. Don't pass buck. Don't tell lies. Don't defect it to another person. No, say the truth. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. If you need to be punished, be punished. So that's number three. Then it's also important that we embark on valuable skills acquisition. That is, when you're acquiring skills, when you want to, okay, I said self-respect is go for more knowledge, isn't it? Yeah. When you are going for knowledge, let your focus be on value-added skills, not just certificates. Gone are the days when it is all about certificate and it's about, no, value-added skills. Number 4, it is very important, like Magistrate said, that companies have the responsibility to educate you. But in a situation where they don't educate you, what happens? It is your responsibility to ask. Whenever you go into any organization, ask them, what are your company policies?
So you mean for a youth,
yes,
who is coming into
a new
organization,
yes,
a new
please.
workplace,
yes,
one of the most important thing
to ask for,
one of the most important questions to
yes,
ask
yes,
is their developmental plans. What
yes,
plan do they have to,
yes,
to develop their employees?
their ethical policies.
Okay.
Their ethical policies. To address your question, that what's my role as an employee in ethical issues in the workplace? So in addition to knowing their developmental plan, I should ask them, in other words, ethical policies are, what are the norms? What is acceptable and what is not acceptable in this environment?
The core values.
Ask. Thank you. So in addition to knowing, I should also comply with those ethical values,
okay,
the policies. And sometimes you find some ethical policies violating the global international standards, then you should quit. If you find it not, for example, you're a lady, you are a hijabite, and you are employed into a marketing company, and part of their core values, part of their own policy is that you must hit your target no matter how, even if you need to dress nudely. That violates your own global value as a Muslim sister or as a practicing Muslim. And indeed, it also violates the human value of humanity first. Whatever we're doing, we must never forget that we're human beings first. So we should not degrade ourselves to low level of animal level because we want to sell. So you can quit.
So as an employee,
yes,
it is important. One of the ethical standards that you must know is you should be able to maintain your high ethical standard by knowing when to start and when to stop, when to say yes and when to say no. And you must know what belongs to you and what belongs to the organization, be able to comply and be able to ask for your own right. Jazakumullahu khairan for that interesting insight, sir. Magistrate Sahiba, can you tell us some of the ethical laws or ethical standards that relate to technology? How technology can enhance the ethical standards and how it can mar or bar the ethical standards of the workplace?
Thank you very much. Privacy and data protection.
Okay.
The collection of uses of personal data by technology companies can raise concerns about privacy. For example, I sent my details to you, and without my consent, those details are being shared to other people without my consent. Then, data branches and the tracking of individuals' online activity. We all know how it works. This technology has brought in a lot of ways that, I am here, somebody might be tracking what I'm doing without my consent. Somebody might be tracking my calls and everything without my consent. Those are the issues brought in by technology these days, especially when it comes to balancing the benefits of technology with the needs for privacy. It's a dilemma that has to be there must be a solution to it. These are dilemmas created by technology. The unequal distribution of technology and internet creates ethical dilemmas related to inequality and social justice. Digital divides can limit access to education because these days see that children don't read their books. They are all online all the time, checking and doing things online. And even employment opportunities for marginalized communities. So the automation funds and all these, the development of automation weapons raises ethical concerns regarding their use and potential for harm. Questions are raised about accountability, decision-making process, and all. How will this be determined? These are dilemmas that have to be dealt with by technology, that has been created by technology and has to be dealt with individually or collectively, especially from organizations. There are social media and misinformation, social media issues, misinformation, and all this created by technology. The spread of this misinformation, hate speech, and online harassment on social media platforms are created by technology.
It's indeed true that the technology, as much as it has brought a lot of opportunities, a lot of ethical questions also come along with it. Engineer Oladede Sahib.
Yes, please.
Looking into the future,
Right.
what do you see about the ethical standards in the workplace?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Starting from that globalization, you see the future of workplace by globalization means that different cultures will be connected. And the first ethical challenge is respect for other people. So I must not forget that I'm not operating within the Nigerian environment alone. So that will be the first major challenge for future workplace ethically. Globalization and cultural sensitivity calls for respect and regard for other people. That's number one. Number two, because we're going to have access to a lot of abundant data, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth, the next major ethical challenge is respect for intellectual property. In addition to respect because of global and cultural sensitivity, another major ethical challenge in the future is respect for intellectual property. You know, there's going to be access to a lot of data. Some of these data are not free. You must take permission from the owners. So that's one thing to watch in the future. And then number three, there's something called data ethics. Data ethics. When we're collecting data, we need to be careful to make sure that these data are accurate. In other words, to be truthful. Because whatever information you project, before you know it, it has been globalized. It's all over the world. So fact check your data, make sure they're accurate, and there's a huge difference between accuracy and precision. The two are needed. Accuracy is say the truth, while precision is that when you collect a lot of data, what reports are you deducing from them? The report you are deducing must be precise. That's precision. So that's another major challenge for future workplace. Now, because of artificial intelligence, there's less and less of human interaction. So a major work ethics challenge in the future is let us never forget that humanity first. That behind all of this data, there are human beings, and human beings are not just numbers. They can be counted, but they are beyond numbers. They are human beings with emotions, with feelings, with beliefs that must be respected. And if you violate them, like she said, collecting somebody's data online and then projecting it without caring to take permission may land somebody in troubles.
So indeed,
One very important one, please. You see, the future of workplace also portends a situation where there's a lot of hybrid situation and so on. And therefore, one major thing to watch out for is mental health. We must maintain work-life balance. And then finally, like I said earlier, we should not just acquire any kind of certificate in the name of acquiring certificate. We should focus on value-driven skills, knowledges that add value, certificates that add value. These are some of the things to watch out for in the future workplace.
Yeah, indeed. It is actually true. It is very true that as much as we want to move on, we want to fit into the future workplace, you must not forget our ethical standards. You must not forget your values. You must not forget humanity. Magistrate Sahiba, what advice would you give our viewers in one or two sentences regarding upholding ethical standards in the workplace?
Okay, thank you very much. One of the major ethical standards that is needed, is, especially on individual basis. A strong ethics is crucial for success as it drives productivity, foster employee satisfaction. On an individual basis, an individual who prioritizes ethical behaviors are more likely to build strong and healthy relationships in the organization.
In the future workplace, one of the ethics that might be lost is the value for humanity. And for us to uphold that humanity, then we must have very strong values. Thank you very much, Engineer Oladoja, for the valuable or invaluable insight into the ethics of the workplace and what we are supposed to do to uphold the ethical standards. Thank you very much, Magistrate Matepo, for your invaluable insight to our viewers. We appreciate you for being with us throughout this session. We are sure that you have enjoyed this discussion with us, and we hope that next time you would be willing to learn from our array of experts and professionals that will be taking us through the journey into the future of work. For questions, comments, and observations, do not forget to reach out to us via africa@mta.tv. I remain your host, Abdul Qadir Ismail Oluwagbemiga. Till we meet again on Future of Work. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
जब तक अमल नहीं है दिले पाको साफ से, जब तक अमल नहीं है दिले पाको साफ से, कमतर नहीं ये मशगला बुत के तवाफ से, कमतर नहीं ये मशगला बुत के तवाफ से।